April 7, 1945, 0630 hours, Tokyo Fighter Control. Imperial Japanese Army Air Force Colonel Saburo Sakai watches radar screens flicker with incoming formations. 107 B-29 Superfortresses lumber toward the Nakajima aircraft factory. Behind them, an impossible sight, 119 single-engine fighters maintaining formation 1,500 miles from their Iwo Jima base. The P-51 Mustang has arrived in Japanese skies, and the war's final equation shifts forever. The implications slice through Japanese command like a sword through silk. No single-engine fighter in history possessed the range to escort bombers from Iwo Jima to Tokyo and return. Yet here they advance in perfect formation, their Packard V-1650 Merlin engines driving them at 25,000 feet with fuel reserves intact. The mathematical certainty that had protected Japan's homeland evaporates in the morning sun. Lieutenant Colonel Hiroshi Shinohara, scrambling his 244th Fighter Regiment from Chofu Airfield, understands immediately what these silver specks represent. The B-29s were manageable targets, predictable in their formations and defensive tactics. But escorted bombers changed everything. His Ki-84 Frank fighters, Japan's most advanced interceptors, face an opponent with superior speed, range, and firepower arriving fresh for combat while his own aircraft operate at maximum fuel consumption, just reaching intercept altitude. In the cockpit of P-51D Detroit Miss, Major James B. Tapp of the 78th Fighter Squadron scans the horizon through his bulletproof windscreen. His aircraft carries 2,393 miles of potential range with two 165-gallon drop tanks. Internal fuel load of 269 gallons distributed between wing tanks and the reduced 40-gallon fuselage tank. The reduced rear tank prevents dangerous tail heaviness during combat maneuvering, a lesson learned through months of Pacific modifications. 650 caliber and /M2 Browning machine guns await his command, 1,840 rounds of ammunition providing 23 seconds of devastating firepower. The technical superiority becomes apparent within minutes. Tapp's P-51D achieves 440 miles per hour maximum speed at 24,500 feet, 40 mph faster than the best Japanese interceptors. The service ceiling of 36,900 feet places him above most enemy fighters, while the gyroscopic K-14 gun sight provides lead computing capability against maneuvering targets. When the first Ki-84 Frank rolls into an attack, Tapp's speed advantage allows him to choose engagement terms, diving on the enemy aircraft with energy superiority maintained throughout the encounter. The engagement unfolds with mathematical precision. Japanese fighters launch from 6 airfields surrounding Tokyo, their pilots veterans of 3 years defending the homeland. But fuel considerations dominate every tactical decision. The Ki-84 Frank burns 150 gallons per hour at combat power, providing 20 minutes of maximum performance before pilots must consider return fuel requirements. The P-51 Mustangs operate on external tanks for the 3-hour inbound flight, switch to internal fuel during combat, then use remaining wing fuel for the 600-mile return journey. Captain Yoshio Yoshida, leading the 22nd Squadron, attempts a diving attack on the B-29 formation but encounters Mustangs positioned 2,000 feet above the bomber stream in perfect defensive positioning. The American fighters execute a 180-degree turn technique that maintains continuous coverage throughout the 10-minute bombing run, with squadrons rotating positions to prevent gaps in protection. When Yoshida's Ki-61 Tony commits to an attack on a superfortress, Tapp's flight descends with altitude advantage, forcing the Japanese pilot into a defensive spiral that consumes precious fuel. The air battle rages across 30 miles of sky above Tokyo, but Japanese tactics designed for intercepting unescorted bombers prove inadequate against coordinated fighter escort. Major Tapp destroys 4 enemy aircraft, a Ki-45 Nick twin-engine fighter attempting a head-on attack on the B-29s, followed by the Ki-61 Tony, in a climbing fight that showcases the P-51's superior power-to-weight ratio. An Oscar Ki-43 falls during a high-speed diving engagement, and finally an N-1K George, Japan's most maneuverable fighter, succumbs to Tapp's disciplined gunnery during a turning battle that demonstrates the Mustang's structural superiority under G-forces. By mission's end, 7 Fighter Command claims 21 Japanese aircraft destroyed with 6 probables and 6 damaged, losing only 2 P-51s. But statistics fail to capture the psychological impact. For Japanese pilots, the appearance of American fighters over Tokyo represents the complete breakdown of defensive strategy. The homeland, previously protected by simple geography, now lies exposed to daily attack by fighters arriving fresh for combat after flying distances equivalent to New York to Miami. Lieutenant Akira Watanabe, one of the few Japanese pilots to survive the April 7th engagement, lands at Chofu with his Ki-84 showing bullet holes along the engine cowling and wing roots. His after-action report describes P-51s that fought like fresh pilots while we struggled with fuel starvation. The American fighters demonstrated superior coordination, with flights of 4 Mustangs supporting each other through vertical maneuvers that Japanese pilots, operating individually due to fuel constraints, cannot match. The strategic implications reverberate through Japanese command. General Masakazu Kawabe, commanding the Japanese Army Air Force, recognizes that American fighters operating from Iwo Jima represent an escalation comparable to the introduction of B-29s themselves. The P-51 Mustang possesses technical capabilities that render existing defensive tactics obsolete. Speed to choose engagement terms, range to arrive fresh over targets, firepower to destroy any Japanese aircraft, and most critically, the fuel capacity to loiter over Japan while enemy interceptors exhaust their reserves. Within days of the April 7th mission, Japanese fighter production accelerates desperately. The Nakajima Ki-84 Frank program receives maximum priority, with engineers attempting to match P-51 performance through improved engines and streamlined construction. But manufacturing limitations and material shortages prevent meaningful increases in production. Japan produces approximately 100 fighters monthly while losing 150 aircraft to all causes, creating an attrition spiral that P-51 escort operations accelerate dramatically. The human cost extends beyond combat losses. Japanese pilot training programs, already abbreviated due to fuel shortages, now face the impossible task of preparing aircrew to engage technically superior opponents operating under ideal tactical conditions. New pilots receive less than 50 hours flight time before assignment to operational squadrons, compared to American P-51 pilots with 200-plus hours training plus combat experience from European or earlier Pacific operations. Colonel Sakai, coordinating Japanese fighter response from Tokyo Area Command, implements desperate tactical innovations. Fighter groups begin staging through forward airfields to reduce transit time, but this dispersal limits coordination and creates fuel supply complications. Mixed formations of different aircraft types attempt to overwhelm American escorts through numerical superiority, but the P-51's speed advantage allows Mustang pilots to engage selectively, concentrating on slower Japanese aircraft while avoiding unfavorable matchups. By late April 1945, Japanese tactics evolve toward survival rather than bomber interception. Pilots receive orders to avoid engagement with P-51 escorts when possible, focusing attacks on unescorted B-29s during weather conditions that prevent fighter operations. This defensive posture, while preserving aircraft and pilot lives temporarily, concedes air superiority over Japan to American forces. The weather factor proves equally devastating to Japanese operations. P-51 pilots, with superior instruments and navigation equipment, operate effectively in conditions that ground Japanese interceptors. The Uncle Dog radio homing system provides navigation assistance for returning Mustangs, while Japanese fighters rely on dead reckoning and visual landmarks often obscured by Pacific weather fronts. Major Harry C. Krim Jr., leading the 21st Fighter Group's 72nd Squadron, experiences the navigation challenges firsthand during a May 1945 escort mission when weather fronts extend from sea level to 40,000 feet. His P-51K, equipped with extended range fuel systems and Uncle Dog navigation antennas, maintains formation integrity through instrument flight procedures while Japanese interceptors, lacking similar equipment, abort their missions due to weather conditions. The technological gap becomes most apparent during June 1945 operations when 7 Fighter Command implements systematic strafing attacks on Japanese airfields. P-51 Mustangs, after completing escort duties, descend to attack grounded aircraft with devastating effectiveness. The .50 caliber machine guns prove ideal for destroying parked fighters, while the P-51 Speed provides protection against ground-based anti-aircraft fire. On June 10, 1945, Major Robert W. Moore leads the 15th Fighter Group's 45th Squadron in a coordinated attack on Atsugi Airfield that destroys 37 Japanese aircraft on the ground. Moore's tactical approach utilizes the P-51's diving characteristics to achieve surprise, with 4 plane flights attacking from different directions simultaneously. The Japanese lose more aircraft in this single strafing attack than 7 Fighter Command loses during the entire month of June. Japanese defensive preparations grow increasingly desperate. Aircraft dispersal programs move fighters up to 2 miles from operational airfields, hidden in caves and revetments designed to survive strafing attacks. But dispersal creates maintenance complications and reduces sortie rates, further limiting Japanese ability to challenge American bomber formations. The psychological pressure intensifies through July 1945 as P-51 escort operations achieve complete tactical dominance. Japanese pilots report that American fighters appear everywhere simultaneously, a perception created by the Mustang's speed advantage and superior tactical coordination. Flight training virtually ceases as aviation fuel reserves dwindle, while existing pilots face combat conditions that provide little opportunity for survival or tactical learning. Lieutenant Colonel Shinohara, now commanding the combined remnants of 3 fighter regiments, issues final operational guidance that reveals Japanese desperation. Engage American bombers only when weather prevents fighter escort. Avoid combat with P-51 Mustangs except when no alternative exists. Preserve aircraft and pilots for homeland defense. This defensive posture represents complete abandonment of offensive air operations over Japan. The ultimate impact extends beyond tactical aviation to Japanese national morale. Citizens observe American fighters operating freely over major cities, their distinctive profiles becoming symbols of American technological and industrial superiority. The P-51 Mustang, originally designed for European operations, demonstrates adaptability and performance that no Japanese aircraft can match. Dr. Jiro Horikoshi, designer of the famous Zero fighter, provides technical assessment that captures Japanese aviation leadership's recognition of defeat. The American P-51 represents engineering excellence that our current manufacturing capacity cannot equal. Range, speed, firepower, and reliability combine in a single aircraft that requires no tactical compromises. Our pilots face an impossible situation. By August 1945, Japanese fighter operations over the homeland virtually cease. The few remaining experienced pilots receive orders to preserve their aircraft for the anticipated American invasion, while P-51 escorts from Iwo Jima provide complete protection for B-29 bomber formations attacking Japanese cities with impunity. The final irony occurs August 14, 1945, when Captain Jerry Yellen of the 78th Fighter Squadron flies the last combat mission of World War II, escorting B-29s to targets near Tokyo. His P-51D Dory R represents the culmination of American aerospace achievement. A single-engine fighter capable of projecting power across 1,500 miles of Pacific Ocean while maintaining air superiority over enemy territory. The statistical record validates P-51 effectiveness from Iwo Jima. 51 very long-range missions completed, 206 Japanese aircraft destroyed in aerial combat. 0 B-29 losses to enemy fighters on escorted missions during April 1945. But numbers cannot capture the psychological impact of American fighters appearing daily over Japan, demonstrating technological mastery that rendered Japanese defensive efforts futile. Colonel Sakai's final report to Japanese Army Air Force Headquarters provides epitaph for homeland defense operations. American P-51 Mustang fighters from Iwo Jima have achieved what we considered impossible. Single-engine aircraft operating 1,500 miles from base maintain air superiority over our territory while protecting bomber formations that systematically destroy our industrial capacity. No tactical response exists within our current capabilities. The P-51 Mustang's deployment to Iwo Jima represents more than tactical aviation success. These operations demonstrate American industrial capacity to develop, manufacture, and deploy advanced military technology across vast distances while maintaining technological superiority over experienced opponents. The Japanese, who began the Pacific War with superior fighter aircraft and tactics, faced defeat by engineering excellence and industrial capacity that overwhelms defensive preparations. In the ruins of Japanese aviation, one lesson emerges with crystal clarity. Technological superiority, combined with tactical innovation and industrial capacity, creates military advantages that courage and experience alone cannot overcome. The P-51 Mustang, flying 1,500-mile escort missions from Iwo Jima, delivers this lesson with mathematical precision and devastating effectiveness. The silver fighters disappearing eastward toward Iwo Jima carry more than returning pilots and empty ammunition boxes. They bear the future of air warfare, where range, speed, and firepower combine with tactical sophistication to achieve complete air superiority. For Japan, watching those distinctive profiles fade into Pacific distances, the sight represents the end of an era and the beginning of American aerospace dominance that will reshape global military balance. The P-51 Mustang's Iwo Jima operations stand as testament to American engineering achievement and pilot courage, but also as demonstration of warfare's evolution toward technological sophistication that renders traditional defensive strategies obsolete. In the skies over Japan, the future of military aviation announces itself with the distinctive sound of Packard Merlin engines carrying American fighters home across impossible distances. Their mission accomplished and air superiority established beyond challenge or recovery.